The escape pod tumbled through Earth's atmosphere, its metal shell glowing red-hot as Rose pressed herself against the safety harness. Her skin flickered between deep blue fear and pale yellow panic, colors rippling across her body like waves on water. The small craft's emergency systems beeped warnings in her native language, but she barely heard them over the pounding of her hearts. Behind her, somewhere in the dark space above, her people's ship continued its journey without her. She had made her choice. Better to risk death in escape than live another day as their test subject. The pod's stabilizers kicked in too late. It crashed through tree branches and slammed into a Montana field, leaving a trail of scorched earth behind it. The impact knocked Rose unconscious, her skin fading to the dull gray of unconsciousness. Mary Thompson had been hanging laundry in her backyard when she saw what looked like a falling star in the morning sky. In her 65 years of life, first as a military nurse and then as a rural homeowner, she had seen many strange things, but never anything like this. Tom. She called to her husband, who was tinkering with their old truck. Get the first aid kit and follow me. They found the pod smoking in their north field, half buried in the earth. Tom approached it cautiously, his years of military communications experience making him wary of unknown technology. But Mary, driven by decades of medical instinct, rushed forward when she saw movement through the cracked viewport. There's someone inside, she shouted, searching for a way to open the strange craft. Tom found the emergency release by accident, pressing what looked like a glowing handprint on the pod side. The top split open with a hiss of escaped air, revealing their unexpected visitor. Mary gasped. The girl, and despite her alien appearance, she was clearly just a girl, looked about 14 by human standards. Her skin was starting to shift from gray to a weak pink, and she had delicate patterns across her face that looked almost like freckles, but seemed to move slightly when you watched them. She's hurt, Mary said, professional training taking over. Help me get her out. They carried Rose to their house, laying her on the spare bed that had belonged to their daughter Lisa before cancer took her 5 years ago. The alien girl was lighter than she looked, and her skin felt smooth like polished stone. Rose woke to unfamiliar surroundings and immediately shifted to defensive purple, her body tensing for flight. But the soft blanket under her and the smell of something cooking nearby made her pause. This wasn't a laboratory. This wasn't her people's ship. Easy there, sweetheart, said a gentle voice. Rose turned to see an older human female. She recognized the species from her studies, sitting in a chair nearby. The woman's hair was gray and her face had wrinkles, but her eyes were kind. I'm Mary, the woman said slowly, pointing to herself. You're safe here. Rose understood the words. Her people had learned Earth languages long ago, but she remained cautious. Her skin swirled with patches of purple fear and green uncertainty. Rose, she said finally, touching her chest. It wasn't her real name, but it was close enough in human sounds. Thank you for helping. Mary's eyes widened at the perfect English, but she took it in stride. Are you hungry? Tom's making soup. Over the next few hours, Rose slowly revealed parts of her story. She told them about her people, the bright ones, and their ability to heal others through touch. She explained how this gift had led to her people being exploited by other species until they became isolationists, treating anyone different as a threat. They wanted to make the healing stronger, she said, her skin darkening to stormy blue. They used the children for tests, said it was our duty. She looked down at her hands. I couldn't do it anymore. I ran. Mary and Tom shared a look. They both knew what it meant to lose a child. They had watched Lisa fight through endless treatments, had felt helpless as the cancer took her bit by bit. The thought of someone experimenting on children made Tom's hands tighten on his coffee cup until his knuckles went white. You'll stay here, Mary said firmly. We have plenty of room, and no one comes out this way much. But my people might look for me, Rose protested, even as hope tinged her skin with gold. I could put you in danger. Let them look, Tom said, speaking for the first time in a while. I still have friends from my service days. We can keep you safe." That night, as Rose slept in Lisa's old room, Mary and Tom sat on their porch watching the stars. They knew hiding an alien refugee would be challenging. They knew it might be dangerous, but looking at their empty house, which had been too quiet for too long, they also knew it was right. "She changes colors like Lisa's mood ring," Tom said softly, remembering how their daughter had loved that cheap piece of jewelry, wearing it even through her hospital stays. Mary reached for his hand. "She's not Lisa," she said gently. "No," Tom agreed, "but she needs us, and maybe we need her too." The next morning, they started planning. Tom went into town to buy more groceries and some clothes for Rose, while Mary began teaching her about human customs. They would need to find a way to hide her color-changing skin if she ever went outside. But for now, she was safe within their farmhouse's walls. Rose discovered she loved human food, especially sweet things. She was fascinated by the old TV in the living room, by the birds that came to Mary's feeders, by everything about this new world. Her skin often shimmered with rainbow patterns of excitement when she learned something new. But there were hard moments too. The first time she heard a plane overhead, she dove under her bed, her skin pure white with terror. She had nightmares that left her glowing deep red with remembered pain. And sometimes she would stare at the sky with such longing that her entire body would turn the soft gray blue of grief. Through it all, Mary and Tom were there. They learned to read her colors as easily as they had once read Lisa's expressions. They discovered that touch helped calm her when she was upset, that human music fascinated her, that she loved to help Mary in her vegetable garden. A week after her arrival, Rose was helping Mary make bread when they heard vehicles approaching. Tom rushed in from outside. "Government cars," he said tersely, "probably investigating the atmospheric disturbance from the pod. Rose, hide in the basement. Mary, keep kneading that bread." Rose disappeared down the basement stairs, her skin pale with fear, but her movements quiet and sure. They had practiced this. They were ready. When the men in dark suits asked about unusual sightings, Mary played the role of a chatty old woman, telling them all about the meteor she'd seen fall somewhere over toward the Jenkins place. Tom nodded along, adding just enough detail to be helpful without being suspicious. After the agents left, Rose emerged from her hiding place. Her skin was swirling with brown anxiety, but there was also a touch of pink trust there now. "You protected me," she said, sounding surprised despite everything. "Of course we did," Mary said, pulling her into a hug. "That's what family does." Rose's skin bloomed with sudden, brilliant gold, like a sunrise. She hadn't had a real family in so long. She had almost forgotten what it felt like. But here, in this strange house on this strange planet, with these two humans who looked at her and saw a person instead of a test subject, she was starting to remember. That night, she helped Mary put away the laundry, including the sheets that had been left hanging when her pod crashed. As they worked, she noticed a photo on the dresser, a young human girl with a bright smile, wearing a colorful ring. "That's Lisa," Mary said softly, seeing where she was looking. "Our daughter. She would have liked you." Rose's skin shifted to gentle purple, the color of understanding and shared sadness. Carefully, she took Mary's hand and let a small touch of her healing power flow between them. It couldn't fix everything, couldn't bring Lisa back or erase Rose's own scars, but it could ease the ache a little. Mary squeezed her hand, and together they finished putting away the laundry as the Montana sun set outside, painting the sky in colors that almost matched Rose's skin. 2 months after Rose's arrival, Mary knew they needed help. The alien girl had caught a cold, something her species had never encountered before. Her normally bright skin had dulled to a sickly green-gray, and her temperature was far below what Mary's medical training told her was normal for humans. "We need a doctor," Mary told Tom as they watched Rose sleep fitfully. "Someone we can trust." Tom nodded slowly. "I know someone. Jack Miller. He was a field medic in my unit before becoming a doctor." keeps to himself mostly. Lives on the edge of town. When Jack arrived at their farmhouse that evening, his old medical bag in hand, he took one look at Rose and sat down hard in the kitchen chair. "Well," he said after a long moment, "this explains why you were so secretive on the phone, Tom." Rose's skin flickered weakly between fear purple and sick green as Jack approached her bed. Mary held her hand, speaking softly. "It's okay, sweetheart. Jack's here to help." The examination that followed was unlike anything Jack had done in his 30 years of medicine. Rose's dual heartbeat fascinated him, and her color-changing skin provided instant feedback about pain or discomfort. When he was done, he sat back with a thoughtful expression. "Her biology is incredible," he said. "The cold virus is affecting her differently than it would us, but her system is adapting. She'll be fine with rest and proper care." He paused, then added, "I'd like to help you understand her biology better. For her safety." Rose's skin tinged slightly orange, her color of curiosity. She reached out and touched Jack's hand briefly. A warm sensation spread up his arm, and the arthritis pain he'd been feeling in his fingers vanished. "That's remarkable," Jack whispered. "You can heal." "My people's gift," Rose said quietly. "And our curse. Why they kept us locked away. Why they experimented." Her skin darkened to storm cloud gray, and Mary quickly changed the subject. Over the next few weeks, Jack became a regular visitor. He helped them understand Rose's unique dietary needs and worked with her to document how her healing abilities functioned. Rose found she enjoyed learning about human medicine, her skin often shimmering with rainbow patterns of excitement when Jack explained something new. But trust came slowly. Some nights, Rose still woke up screaming, her skin blazing red with remembered pain. Mary would sit with her until the colors faded to calmer shades, singing old lullabies she used to sing to Lisa. One morning, Rose was helping Tom fix a fence when she suddenly froze, her skin turning white with fear. A drone was flying overhead, its cameras sweeping the area. Tom quickly got her inside, but the incident left her shaking. "They'll find me," she whispered that night, her skin rippling with waves of dark blue terror. "They always find the runners." "Not this time," Tom said firmly. "I've been working on something." He showed them what he'd created in his workshop, a thin, flexible suit made from special material that would cover Rose's skin. "It's not perfect," he admitted, "but it should help you move around more freely." Rose tried it on. The material was comfortable and allowed her to breathe, while hiding her color changes from view. For the first time since her arrival, she could consider leaving the house. Her first trip to town was both terrifying and thrilling. Wearing the suit under normal clothes and a wide-brimmed hat to shadow her slightly alien features, Rose accompanied Mary to the grocery store. Her skin underneath the suit shifted constantly between nervous purple and excited gold, but no one could see it. They ran into Jack at the store, and he casually joined them, helping create the impression of a normal family outing. Rose was fascinated by everything: the variety of foods, the other customers, the mundane miracle of shopping like a regular person. Then she saw the missing persons posters. They weren't for her. Her people wouldn't use such human methods, but they triggered memories of being hunted. Her skin burned fear-white under the suit, and Mary quickly got her home. That evening, as they sat on the porch watching the sunset, Rose finally opened up about her past. She told them about growing up in the healing chambers, about being trained to use her gift from an early age, about how her people had once freely shared their healing abilities with others, until other species began capturing and exploiting them. "The elders said isolation was the only way," she explained, her skin swirling with remembered confusion. "But then they started doing the same things to us that others had done. Testing, experimenting, trying to make the healing stronger. They said it was for our own protection, to make us too powerful to be exploited again." Mary and Tom shared a pained look. They had suspected something like this, but hearing it confirmed made their hearts ache. "The younger ones were the best test subjects," Rose continued, her voice growing quiet. Our bodies were more adaptable. They kept us separate from our parents, said attachment made us weak. Her skin darkened to deep blue grief. I don't even remember my mother's face anymore. Mary pulled her close, and Rose let her head rest on the older woman's shoulder. They sat like that for a while, watching the stars appear one by one. You know, Tom said finally, family isn't just about who made you. It's about who chooses you, and who you choose back. Rose's skin brightened slightly, hints of hopeful gold breaking through the blue. She was learning that humans, despite their reputation among her people as primitive and dangerous, could show remarkable kindness. The next day, Jack brought over some medical textbooks. Rose devoured them, fascinated by how humans had developed medicine without natural healing abilities. She began combining her innate healing gift with her growing medical knowledge, becoming more precise and efficient. You're a natural healer, Jack told her, watching as she eased Mary's chronic back pain with a carefully controlled touch. Not just because of your abilities, but because you care. Rose's skin flushed pink with pleasure at the praise. She was starting to feel useful again, but in a way that was her choice rather than her duty. As summer turned to fall, they settled into a routine. Rose helped Mary with her garden and learned to cook human food. She worked with Tom in his workshop, her natural curiosity making her a quick study with tools and technology. Jack continued his visits, each one bringing new medical knowledge to share. But there were still dangerous moments. A military helicopter flew too close one day, causing Rose to accidentally shatter a glass in her hand. The cut healed instantly. Her people's bodies automatically healed themselves, but the incident reminded them all of the precarious nature of their situation. Maybe we should move somewhere more remote, Tom suggested that night. But Mary shook her head. This is our home. And now it's Rose's too. We'll face whatever comes together. Rose, listening from the hallway, felt her skin tinge with the deep gold of belonging. She had spent so long being afraid, being a test subject, being a runner. Now, wearing the suit Tom made her, learning healing from Jack, helping Mary with daily tasks, she was becoming something else. A person, a student, a daughter. That night, she dreamed of her people's ship for the first time in weeks. But instead of the usual nightmare of being chased through endless corridors, she dreamed of standing strong, her new family beside her. In the dream, her skin glowed with colors her people had never seen before, colors of love, of choice, of freedom. She woke to find her skin actually glowing with those same colors, and for once, she didn't try to hide them. They were part of who she was, just as her healing gift was, just as her fear and her hope and her growing love for her new family were. Outside her window, the Montana morning was painting the sky in brilliant colors, and somewhere in the kitchen, she could hear Mary starting breakfast. Rose got up to join her, ready to face another day of learning how to be both who she was born as and who she was choosing to become. The first sign of trouble came on a quiet Tuesday morning. Rose was helping Mary bake bread when both their phones buzzed with emergency alerts. Tom rushed in from his workshop, his face grim. 3 black vehicles just passed the Miller place, he said. Not government ones this time. Different. Rose's skin turned chalk white under her protective suit. Hunters, she whispered. They found me. They had prepared for this. Tom quickly activated the signal jammers he'd set up around the property while Mary got Rose to the basement's hidden room. They had built it behind the old roots cellar, equipped with emergency supplies and a secret exit tunnel that led to the woods. But Rose hesitated at the hidden door. I can't leave you to face them, she said, her skin rippling between fear-white and determined red. We'll be fine, Mary assured her. We're just a boring old couple who don't know anything. The hunters arrived in sleek vehicles that looked almost normal, except for the faint hum they made. 3 tall figures stepped out, wearing what appeared to be standard business suits, but their movements were too smooth, too precise to be human. Mary answered the door while Tom watched from the window, his old service pistol hidden but ready. Good morning, the lead hunter said, his accent perfect but somehow empty of emotion. "We are conducting a search for dangerous stolen property. May we examine your home?" Stolen property. Mary played the confused elderly woman perfectly. "Oh my, what was stolen?" "That information is classified," another hunter said. "We have authority to search all properties in this area." While they talked, Rose watched through a hidden camera Tom had installed. Her skin burned with shame as she heard them call her property. But there was also anger there now, a deep crimson she'd never felt before. The hunters were about to force their way in when a truck pulled up. Jack stepped out, followed by several other vehicles. Rose recognized Bill from the hardware store, Emma from the diner, and other townspeople she'd met during her careful trips into town. "Is there a problem here?" Jack asked, walking up casually. "Mary, Tom, we came for the town meeting. Remember?" The hunters looked at the growing crowd of townspeople. More vehicles were arriving. Farmers in their trucks, the sheriff's car, even the local news van. All people who had seen Rose in her disguise over the past months, who had noticed her kindness, who had accepted the strange quiet girl who helped Mary with her shopping. "This is a restricted operation," the lead hunter said, but he sounded less certain. "In our town, we like to know why armed men are threatening our elderly neighbors," Sheriff Roberts said, stepping forward. She had never seen Rose's true appearance, but she had seen enough strange vehicles lately to guess something was happening. The hunters found themselves surrounded by pickup trucks and stern faces. These weren't the isolated targets they were used to dealing with. These were humans protecting their own. "We have no current evidence of our property at this location," the lead hunter finally said. "We will continue our search elsewhere." They left, their vehicles humming away down the dirt road. The townspeople stayed until sunset, making it look like a genuine town meeting. Nobody asked directly about Rose, but there were knowing looks, gentle pats on Tom and Mary's shoulders. When the last visitor left, Rose emerged from her hiding place. Her skin was cycling through colors: gratitude gold, amazement silver, belonging deep blue. "They all came," she whispered. "But why? They don't even know what I am." "They know enough," Tom said. "They know your family to us. And in this town, that means something." That night, they got an unexpected call from one of Tom's old military contacts. The hunters had been spotted near major cities, their presence raising questions. Someone had leaked photos of their too perfect movements, their slightly wrong faces. "The world's starting to notice," Tom told them after hanging up. "People are asking questions about whether we're really alone in the universe." Rose's skin turned anxiety purple. "My people won't like that. They'll try harder to find me now." She was right. Over the next few weeks, more hunters came. Each time, they found themselves faced with a town that had mysteriously gathered for a barbecue, a funeral, a garage sale, any excuse to have plenty of witnesses present. Jack helped them improve Rose's protective suit, adding features to mask her thermal signature. The sheriff quietly organized regular patrols past the Thompson farm. Bill from the hardware store installed extra security lights as a favor to old customers. But it wasn't just physical protection. The town's children started sharing stories about strange lights in the sky, about mysterious helpful spirits that made their cuts and bruises heal faster. The local paper ran an editorial about tolerance and sanctuary cities. Without ever saying it directly, the town was making it clear this was a place that kept its own safe. One evening, as Rose helped Emma close up the diner, a young boy fell and scraped his knee badly. Before anyone could stop her, Rose reached out and touched his arm. Under her protective suit, her skin glowed healing green. The boy's mother saw the scrape vanish. She looked at Rose, really looked at her, and then smiled. "Thank you," she said simply, and led her confused but happy son away. Word spread quietly after that. People who were hurt started finding reasons to visit the diner when Rose was there. Nobody asked questions when cuts healed too quickly or pain vanished after a gentle touch. They simply nodded and brought over extra pie, offered rides during bad weather, kept watch in their own ways. But the hunters were getting desperate. They tried new tactics: power outages, signal interference, even starting a small forest fire to evacuate the area. Each time, the town adapted. People bought generators, set up old-style phone trees, organized volunteer fire watches. "I don't understand," Rose told Mary one night, her skin shimmering between wonder gold and worry gray. "My people always said humans were primitive, violent, focused only on themselves. But these people, they're risking everything to protect me. Why?" Mary smiled, remembering how the town had rallied around them when Lisa was sick, how casseroles appeared without asking, how neighbors mowed their lawn and fed their cats and sat with them through long hospital nights. "Humans can be all those things," she admitted. "Primitive, violent, selfish. But we can also be kind, brave, and fiercely loyal. We're complicated that way." Rose thought about this as she worked in the garden the next morning. Her people had sought perfection, control, safety through isolation and force. But here was something different: safety through connection, through choice, through imperfect but determined love. The morning peace was shattered by the sound of advanced engines. Rose looked up to see 3 hunter ships dropping their camouflage, hovering over the town. Her skin went fear-white. But then something else happened. Car horns started honking in a pattern. Pickup trucks moved into position along the roads. People came out of their houses with cameras rolling, live streaming the ships to the world. The sheriff's car pulled up to the Thompson farm, lights flashing. "Well," Tom said, looking at the ships, "I guess it's time to show them what humanity does when someone threatens our family." Rose stood between Mary and Tom, her skin shifting to a new color, one that meant courage and hope and belonging. Above them, the hunter ships hung in the morning sky, no longer trying to hide. Around them, the town gathered, armed with nothing but phones and determination, and the simple, unshakable certainty that love was worth fighting for. The real battle for Rose's freedom was about to begin, but she wasn't alone anymore. She had something her people had forgotten was possible: a family chosen by love rather than built by design, and a whole town of humans ready to prove that their capacity for protection was just as strong as their capacity for violence. Her skin glowed with that new color, bright enough to shine through her protective suit. It was time to stop running. The hunter ships cast long shadows over the town as more vehicles arrived at the Thompson farm. News vans mixed with pickup trucks, and phones recorded everything. The world was watching now, even if they didn't fully understand what they were seeing. Rose stood on the porch between Mary and Tom, her protective suit glowing faintly from the colors shifting beneath it. Jack's truck pulled up, and he quickly joined them, medical bag in hand. He had treated enough of Rose's small injuries to know that whatever came next might need his help. A beam of light shot down from the largest ship, and 3 figures materialized. 2 were hunters, but the third made Rose's skin turn stark white with recognition beneath her suit. The woman's skin rippled with authority purple and cold blue. She was an elder, one of the leaders of Rose's people. "Child," the elder said in English, her voice carrying across the sudden silence, "you have caused quite enough trouble. It is time to come home." Rose felt Mary's hand squeeze her shoulder and Tom's steady presence beside her. She stepped forward, but not toward the elder. "I am home," she said, her voice shaking but clear. The elder's skin flickered with anger red. "You belong with your own kind. These humans cannot understand you, cannot protect you. They are primitive, violent. We understand enough." Sheriff Roberts interrupted, stepping forward. "We understand she's a child who came to us hurt and scared. We understand she's helped our people heal, ask nothing in return. We understand family when we see it." The elder's skin turned the deep purple of authority. "This is not your concern. She is property of our people." "She's a person," Mary said firmly, "not property. And she's my daughter now." The elder laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "Your daughter? You think you can claim one of the bright ones? We are beyond your understanding. This child carries unique genetic markers. Her healing ability is stronger than any we've seen in generations. She is vital to our research. Research. Jack stepped forward, medical bag in hand. I've seen her scars. That's not research, it's torture. Rose's skin burned with sudden red-gold courage under her suit. They want to make weapons, she said loudly. They want to turn our healing into hurting. That's why they need me. My gift, it can be reversed. They want to use it to cause pain instead of stopping it. The crowd murmured angrily. The elder's skin flashed warning orange. Be silent, child. No, Rose said. I won't be silent anymore. You taught us that humans were dangerous, that isolation was safety. But look around. These humans protect me because they choose to, not because anyone ordered them. They help each other without being forced. They're everything our people used to be before fear made us cruel. The elder gestured, and the hunters raised their weapons, but they found themselves facing a wall of phones, cameras, and determined faces. The whole world was watching now, live streaming every moment. If you take her, Tom said quietly, every person here will share what they've seen. Your secret existence, your ships, your plans, all of it goes public. Is that what you want? The elder's skin rippled with uncertainty for the first time. Their people's greatest defense had always been secrecy. But now, with videos already spreading across the internet, with news helicopters approaching in the distance, that secrecy was crumbling. You don't understand, the elder said, but she sounded less certain. Our people need protection. The galaxy is dangerous. So you became what you feared, Rose interrupted. Her skin glowed with truth-telling gold beneath the suit. You hurt your own children to make them stronger. You destroyed everything that made us special. She pulled off her protective suit, letting everyone see her skin shifting with emotions. Determination red, courage gold, love in colors humans had no names for. There were gasps from the crowd, but no one ran. No one screamed. They simply watched and recorded, bearing witness. I choose this family, Rose declared. I choose this town. I choose to use my gift to heal, not hurt. And I'm not the only one who will choose differently if given the chance. The elder's skin showed confusion gray. You would stay here. Live among them. Hide what you are. I don't have to hide, Rose said. She walked to a small child in the crowd who had scraped their knee in the excitement. Gently, she touched the injury, letting everyone see the healing happen. Her skin glowed green with the familiar warmth of helping. The crowd murmured in wonder, but still no one ran. Instead, they moved closer, forming a human barrier between Rose and the hunters. Your secret's already out, Sheriff Roberts said. But maybe that's not a bad thing. Maybe it's time for both our peoples to learn from each other. The elder's skin showed rapid shifts of color as she processed this. The hunters looked to her for orders, weapons still raised but useless against the wall of witnesses and cameras. That's when they heard the sound of more ships, but not hunter ships. Military helicopters appeared on the horizon, drawn by the numerous reports of UFOs. The elder's skin paled. Last chance, Tom said calmly. Leave peacefully and let Rose stay with her chosen family, or deal with Earth's authorities. Your choice. The elder looked at Rose, really looked at her, perhaps for the first time. The girl's skin was shining with colors of strength and love that the elder hadn't seen in their people for generations. The human is right, the elder said finally. Our secret is ending. Perhaps it should. Her skin shifted to a color Rose had never seen in an elder, the blue-gold of change. You may stay, she told Rose. But this changes everything for our people. Others will want to leave. Others will want to choose. Good, Rose said simply. Choice is how we heal. Really heal, not just our bodies but our hearts. The elder nodded slowly. We will return, she said, not to take you, but to talk. Your humans have shown us something we have forgotten. Perhaps there is more they can teach us. The hunters lowered their weapons. The elder's skin shifted to formal blue. Until then, Rose of Earth, be well, and thank you." They vanished in beams of light, and their ships shimmered away just as the military helicopters arrived. But it was too late to hide what had happened. Hundreds of videos were already online, showing the ships, the confrontation, and most importantly, showing a community standing together to protect one of their own. Rose turned to Mary and Tom, her skin glowing with love gold and relief blue. "I can stay," she whispered. "I can really stay." Mary pulled her close. "You were always staying, sweetheart. We just had to convince them of it." The crowd began to disperse as officials arrived to investigate. There would be questions, so many questions in the days to come. The world knew now that aliens existed, that some looked almost human except for their color-changing skin, that they could heal with a touch. But the most important truth wasn't about aliens at all. The videos spreading across the internet showed something simpler and more powerful. They showed a small town standing together, showed love that crossed the boundaries of species, showed the kind of family that grows from choice rather than blood. Rose helped Jack treat the scrapes and bruises that had happened in all the excitement, her skin glowing healing green. Around her, the townspeople were already planning, discussing how to handle the media, how to protect their privacy, how to move forward in a world that had suddenly become much bigger. "Are you ready for what comes next?" Tom asked her quietly. Rose looked at her chosen family, at her human community, at the sky where her people had disappeared. Her skin shimmered with a new color, one that meant hope and change and possibility, all mixed together. "Yes," she said, "as long as we face it together." 1 year after the confrontation in the Thompsons' front yard, Rose sat in the town hall, helping to organize the first official meeting between human doctors and healers from her people. Her skin glowed with proud gold as she watched Jack discuss medical techniques with 3 young bright ones who had chosen to study Earth medicine. The world had changed dramatically in that year. After thousands of videos of the confrontation spread online, there was no going back to secrecy. Rose's people, the bright ones, had been forced to adapt to a new reality, one where they were known to humanity. The transition hadn't been easy. There had been fear on both sides, confusion, and sometimes anger. But Rose's small town had shown the way forward. They had protected her not with weapons or threats, but with phones and live streams, with casseroles and community, with the simple power of people standing together. Now, the town had become a bridge between two worlds. The old farmhouse where Mary and Tom had first taken Rose in had grown into something new. The barn had been converted into a healing center, where bright ones could practice their gift openly and teach human doctors their techniques. The fields behind it had become training grounds where both species learned from each other. "Ready for your speech?" Mary asked, approaching Rose with a cup of tea. Even now, after a year of being known to the world, Rose still loved these simple human comforts. "I think so," Rose said, her skin shimmering with nervous purple. She was going to address the gathered crowd about her experiences as the first bright one to choose Earth as home, and the first to openly use her healing gifts to help humans. The town hall was packed. Local residents sat alongside government officials, medical researchers, and more bright ones who had followed Rose's path. Among them were 15 young ones who had chosen to leave their people's ships and study on Earth. Each wore expressions of wonder similar to what Rose had felt in her first days of freedom. Tom stood at the back, manning the video equipment that would broadcast the meeting globally. These sessions had become regular events, watched by millions who wanted to understand the peaceful integration of two species. Rose's town had become famous not for capturing or fighting aliens, but for showing how to welcome them. As Rose took the podium, her skin shifted to confidence gold, though a few nervous purple spots still showed through. She had learned not to hide her colors here. They were part of who she was, just as her human family was part of who she'd become. "A year ago," she began, "I was running for my life. Now I'm running a healing program that serves both humans and bright ones." The crowd chuckled at her small joke. "The difference isn't just in where I am. It's in who I'm allowed to be." She told them about the changes of the past year, about how the elders' prediction had come true. More young bright ones had wanted to choose their own paths, about how her people's leadership had struggled but ultimately adapted, realizing that connection was stronger than control. "We thought we had to choose between safety and freedom," she said. "But my human family showed me that real safety comes from having the freedom to choose who we trust, who we help, who we love." In the audience, Jack sat with 3 of his new medical students. They were developing new treatments that combined Bright One healing abilities with human medical knowledge. Their skin glowed with achievement silver as Rose mentioned their work. "The greatest gift humans gave me wasn't protection or shelter," Rose continued. "It was the chance to be myself, not a test subject, not a weapon, but a person who could choose her own way to help others." She talked about the healing center, about how it had grown from Mary's spare bedroom to the converted barn to a full medical facility. She described the young bright ones who came to study there, learning to use their gifts while also learning human ways. "But more importantly," she said, her skin glowing with emotion, "we're teaching each other that difference doesn't have to mean distance, that family can cross the boundaries of species, that love, in the end, is the greatest power for healing." After the speech, as people mingled and talked, Rose helped a young bright one who was struggling to control her color changes. "It's okay," she said gently. "Here, you don't have to hide what you feel." The girl's skin shifted from anxiety purple to relief blue. "Did you really feel this scared when you first came?" "More scared," Rose admitted. "But look around. See all these humans. They're not afraid of us. They're curious, excited, ready to learn, just like we're learning from them." Mary and Tom joined them, bringing over some of the cookies that always appeared at these meetings. The young bright one's skin showed surprise silver when Tom offered her one. "Welcome to Earth," he said simply, "where cookies solve most problems, and family helps with the rest." Later that evening, Rose sat on the porch of her home, still the same farmhouse where she'd first found sanctuary. The sun was setting, painting the sky in colors that matched the gentle swirls on her skin. Jack's truck pulled up, and he joined them with his medical bag and a pile of notes. They had their regular evening meeting to plan the next day's lessons at the healing center. It had become a comfortable routine. Medicine and cookies, human science, and Bright One healing, family dinner, and intergalactic diplomacy all mixed together. "The new students are adapting well," Jack said, accepting a cup of coffee from Mary. "Their healing abilities combined with human medical knowledge. We're making breakthroughs I never thought possible." Rose smiled, her skin glowing with pride gold. She remembered how scared she'd been to show her healing gift that first time. Now she taught others to use their abilities openly, proudly, for the good of both species. A ship appeared in the darkening sky. Not a hunter ship this time, but a transport bringing more young bright ones who had chosen to study on Earth. The town barely noticed anymore. Flying saucers had become just another part of life here, like tractors and pickup trucks. "Did you ever think," Rose asked Mary and Tom, "when you found me in that crashed pod, that it would lead to all this?" "Honey," Mary said, "all we knew was that a scared child needed help. Everything else, the town standing up for you, the changes in your people, this healing center, that all came from you being brave enough to choose a different path." Tom nodded. "And from humans being human, which sometimes means being stupidly, stubbornly determined to protect our family, no matter what planet they're from." Rose's skin glowed with love gold, a color that had become familiar to everyone in town. She watched the transport ship land behind the healing center, carrying more young ones who would learn to balance their gifts with their freedom. Tomorrow, she would help them adjust to Earth. She would show them how to enjoy ice cream, how to wear human clothes, how to accept that their color-changing skin was beautiful rather than something to hide. She would teach them, as she had been taught, that family isn't about looking the same or coming from the same place. It's about choosing each other, standing together, healing together. The stars were coming out now. The same stars she had once fled through in terror. Now they represented not escape, but connection. a bridge between her old world and her new one, between what she had been born as and who she had chosen to become. "Time for dinner," Mary called from inside. The smell of her famous pot roast drifted out, mixing with the evening air. Rose stood, her skin glowing with happiness, as she went to join her family. Behind her, the transport ship settled into its landing space, its lights twinkling like earthbound stars. Above, the real stars shone down on this small town that had changed the universe not with weapons or wars, but with the simple, unstoppable power of love. She was home. And thanks to her, others would find their way home too, wherever and whatever that home might be.